Welcome to my channel. This is Kerry. If this is your first time here, great to have you on board. I would describe myself as an intuitive empath, and you may call what I do psychic or clairvoyant, but let me explain a little bit. With the gifts that I have, I see, which is known as clairvoyant, I hear, which is clairaudient, and I feel, which is clairsentient. And information comes through simultaneously to me, and could be a combination of all of those things at the same time. So when I receive information, it is like putting a puzzle together where symbolism is used too. The communication or receiving it seems to be the easy part, and in comparison to discerning or interpreting the meaning behind the information that's coming through. So I provide the information as I receive it, and I do my best to discern the information and interpret it in the hopes that the information may trigger a memory or a connection or a new lead in these cases. Do have a disclaimer in this, and that this information is my interpretation of the information being shared with me by my spirit guides during a communication session. And I encourage everyone listening to this to discern the information shared for themselves. I'm not alleging or asserting that the information is fact for any situation or the guilt of any individual that may be identified through spirit communications being presented. I do not claim that these readings are 100% accurate. However, I do my best to interpret the information provided to me by spirit as accurately as possible in an attempt to help the victims tell their story. So please consider these readings for entertainment purposes only, although that statement does not reflect the seriousness of how much I actually care or consider the sensitive subject matter, and in particular my respect and caring for the victims. On the 5th of August 2021, when I was sitting doing communication, some information came through to me about, at first I thought it was a young boy, but then I realised that it wasn't. It was actually a young girl. I wrote down all of the information that I had received, although I had no idea at the time who it related to, and I was not given a name by spirit. I did discuss this communication with my friend Annie, who I also do live streams with on a fortnightly basis on this channel, and really sort of put this information aside because I didn't hear anything about a case involving a young girl. It was later that I actually started Googling to find out if anyone was missing, and there wasn't anyone in Australia where I am, but there was a young girl called Summer Wells that was missing from a state in the US, and I thought that the information related quite closely to that particular case. I didn't share anything about this at the time because I knew that obviously it was being investigated, and I felt that information would come to light. However, a couple of nights ago, I had another dream about this young girl, and it prompted me to get this reading back out and go back through it and see how closely my dream resembled the original writing that I got. I then did a bit of a search and found that this case is still open. No one actually knows what happened to this beautiful young girl, Summer Wells. And it absolutely breaks my heart because this is a little girl that is currently missing and no one knows where she is or what has happened to her. So tonight I decided to share this information in hopes that some of it may resonate, that it may provide a new lead or a new pathway in the case. And I'd love to hear your comments on the information I'm about to share. So on the 5th of the 8th, 21, and again in my dream just a couple of nights ago, I dreamt of a very young child, possibly 4 to 6 years old. Now, in my original writing, I thought that this was a young boy. They had very, like a crew cut haircut. But then I did see that this child had a ribbon in their hair. So I realized it was a girl, and her head had been shaven. She seemed to be bright and bubbly and had a big smile. I saw her going into a house, and the house itself was very cluttered. I feel that she has siblings in the house, but they were really not paying attention to her. I didn't feel an adult around her or within the house at that time. And I see her leaving the house again back through the door that she entered through, which I think would be the front of the house. And I saw her going outside. She was on a property. There were old cars and old machinery, some junk around the edges of this property. But I saw that there was also animals. Now, there weren't farm animals around. I'm talking lots of dogs, and I saw a few cats as well. I also saw another shed or a small dwelling on the property, and I feel that that's where the mother or the parent or guardian energy was in that space. I see her chasing the dogs around the side of the house, and she's calling to one in particular. It seems to be a younger dog, one that she felt very connected to. But this dog is following the other dogs, and they're running down a track, following the other dogs, and I see her running behind them, and she's calling out, and they keep going, and she follows. And I see her come to a road, but she can't see the dog that she was chasing after. She does see one of the bigger dogs across the road. I get the sense that she knows she shouldn't really cross the road, but she really wants to bring this smaller dog back. She's worried about it leaving the property. So she crosses the road anyway and chases after the dogs, and she's calling out to this one dog. She's looking around now, and she's going through like a bush area. I see lots of trees, dirt on the ground, not overly dense, but some tracks through there, but definitely wooded. So there is bush around her. And I see her going deeper into this area, and now she's not quite sure where she is or what direction she should be going. She can no longer see the dogs. They've just gone way too fast for her, and she's lost them. So she's turning around to head back towards her home. And she screams out, I think she's calling for her mum, but there is no response. She still can't see the dogs anymore. She's moving in the direction that she thinks will take her back to the road, and I can feel a panic and anxiety building within her now. Firstly, she knows she should never have crossed the road, She's not quite sure which direction she's going in, and she knows she's going to get in trouble when she gets home. But she isn't actually going in the right direction, she's going in the wrong way. She comes to an opening in this forest, and it opens out to a field, or what I thought was a field, but it could be farmland. There seems to be really tall grass or a tall crop. It's definitely not corn. Could be wheat because it does look grass-like. Feel that she goes into this opening of this field and she can hear machinery running. So it's either machinery or a loud vehicle that I can hear. And so she's moving towards this vehicle and she's calling out because she's hoping that she can get some help and be told which way or which direction to go, because she's now lost and panicked. So she runs towards that machinery, but she isn't heard above the sound. So it's either a really loud car, a larger car, or it's farm machinery of some sort, because it's definitely quite loud, this motor. So she runs in the direction of that vehicle and she comes out directly in front of it. The man driving the vehicle doesn't see her in time and wouldn't be able to stop in time either. And he hits her and runs her down. Sorry, I just need to pause for a moment because that is just very emotional and I can feel my emotion churning. And I also feel the panic surrounding this, the fright in the man, the scare in the man. And he's panicked and he feels the bump. And he gets out and he sees her laying on the ground. He sees or feels that she's been crushed by this vehicle. He rushes to her, but he can't feel her breathing. He does try to help her, but he's not getting any response. He's in a total panic now. He didn't even see her. He doesn't know where she's come from and he doesn't recognize her. And he doesn't know what to do. He's crying and he's lifting her up and saying, "Where did you come from? Who are you? Where did you come from? How did this happen?" He's also panicking. He doesn't know what to do. He wants to call someone, but he knows she's passed, she's gone. I think he's afraid. He may have a criminal record. I think he's afraid of what's going to happen. He picks up her body. He places it in the vehicle. And I feel like they're going, or the vehicle's moving now. It's going to a huge shed. Now this shed is so big it either stores farm stocks or stores machinery. He's taking her in there. The back, there's a very large, what we would call in Australia, an esky, a large ice box, something that someone maybe would take camping or fishing, but it's quite big. He doesn't know what to do with her and he's still panicked. He opens the lid to that. Inside it are, I think, are nets or fishing gear, or there's some sort of string, maybe it's hessian. And he lays her body inside there. And the whole time he's saying, "I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry." Just feel him getting drunk now, not knowing what to do. I don't think he's aware that other things are now going on. It's been a couple of hours since this happened. And I feel that there's people and cars arriving not far away. You can hear the travelling down the road. It's unusual, this is a quieter road. And he sits there and he drinks until he passes out. He knows who this is now. I feel like this is almost the next day, the next morning. I feel like he knows who this is now. And he doesn't know what to do. He's packing up a car, like an old four-wheel drive. It's a browny tan colour. It's an older four-wheel drive. He's putting this big esky, this big ice box in there. He's packing some other, looks like fishing gear or camping gear. And he's travelling. Now seeing the number 96. So it's either, well, I would say 96 kilometres. I don't know what that is in miles or whether they're just referring to miles. But I feel that's how far he's travelling. I feel like it's on the edge of a national forest area where he's going. There is a river, there is water. There's a camping ground. I feel like it's getting darker now. And as the sun starts to go down, he takes her from this ice chest. And I feel that she's been placed in hessian. It feels rough and coarse. And he's taking her up into the bush. And there's a large outcrop of rocks. And there's a crevice between two large rocks. And he's placing her down inside that crevice. He is crying, he is sobbing, and he's saying how sorry he is. But he can't tell anyone what's happened. It was an accident, but no one will believe it. See him kicking soft fall leaves, dirt, sticks. He's trying to cover the hessian in this crevice. He's not lifting it with his hands, he's kicking it with his boots. These are not hiking boots. They look more like a tradie's boot. And I see him praying. And he's asking God for forgiveness. And he's apologising for having to do this. He's leaving there now, and he's going back to where the car is parked near a camping site near the river. He takes that large ice box and he throws it into the river. It doesn't go very far. It's like on the edge of the river, and it feels like it's in mud, or there's some trees growing in this water. And he leaves it there. It's getting quite dark now. See him getting back into the four-wheel drive. And he's driving out of this national forest, back out to the exit. And he's passing through like a small town. This is not a city area. This is more of a smaller country town. He sees the pub and he pulls in. I feel like he buys a bottle of, oh gosh, could be bourbon, could be whiskey. This small pub has rooms above it where people can stay, and he books a room. And he goes upstairs and he drinks. And he drinks and he drinks until he passes out. See him getting up the next day. And he's returning back to his original property. He's driving back the way he came. And he's an emotional mess. And he's afraid. He knows who this young girl is now. He knows the family. He's heartbroken. He's in a very depressed state. But he's not told anyone. It's been a long time now and he's still not told. He has nightmares about it constantly. He is in a state of depression. People may notice a change in him. He's become quiet. I almost want to say hermit-like. And he's using substances, he's using alcohol, anything to dull the thoughts and the pain. And he's in a depression over this. But he can't come forward now because he didn't tell anyone straight away. I feel the remorse and the regret. This remorse and regret may get to him. He may be drinking and tell someone about this. This feeling surrounding him, she knows this too. I do feel that they may tell someone about this drinking, or they may refer to something that gives someone time to take pause around what they're saying. I think there could be a tip, but I just don't know that the evidence is there, that anyone can prove any of this. I hope that he does come forward with the truth so that she can be laid to rest properly and that the family know what's happened to her. And the world knows what's happened to her. Then went on to ask my guide some questions about this young girl and, okay, is she at peace? Has she gone to heaven? She says the passing was quick and there were messages for her parents, for her siblings. They didn't look for her for hours. She was gone a very, very long time before they realised that she was missing. It could have been an hour, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I'm not getting to 3. They're taking me 1 to 2. So she was missing for a while before anyone realised that she was not there. She says her parents loved her in their own way. They may have been struggling to provide that loving, caring, safe home, but they did not harm her. Perhaps neglected at times. It wasn't necessarily a clean and safe environment, and there were many times that she would be out for long periods of time and they wouldn't notice that she was not around them. I feel that there was a lot of alcohol, maybe pills. I'm seeing pills as well as alcohol. I think the parents struggled with their own issues, their own demons. And whilst they loved her and loved the children, there was neglect there. She holds no grudge for this. She says she's sorry. She's sorry she left the property. She's sorry that she went that day. She knows she wasn't meant to. She is at peace. She is in heaven. And she is watching over those she loves. That was the end of the information that I received about this young girl. What do you think? Do you think that the spirit guides and messages are talking about Summer Wells? It did feel to me like a lot of that information fit that young girl's circumstances. Please let me know your thoughts in comments. If you resonate with my spirit messages, please, if you don't mind, click on that thumbs up and like this video and subscribe to my channel. If I receive more messages about this young girl from a spirit, I will share it here. I also intend to do a dowsing rod session to ask specific questions to receive yes/no responses to validate some of the information that came through in this communication. You may also like to check out some of my other content and some of the live streams and meditations, the live streams that I do with my good friend Annie, and meditations that are also on my channel. Thank you for watching, and my prayers go out to this young girl, and I hope that this person does come forward and does share the situation of what happened with her so that she can rest in peace. Thank you, everyone. Take care. God bless.